Welcome in. It is day 110, and you are speaking with the Meeples Champion. And on today, October 28th, so close to the end of the month, we are bringing in another themed game for this month. Now, today's game is a combination of things. The first thing is the theme. Some of you may agree, and some of you may not agree with me theming this for this month. The other side is the game itself. The game is kind of a repeat on this list. I haven't really done a repeat before, but I felt that this was a unique enough game that I wanted to bring this in as an alternative option, and it was one that I knew I wanted to do for this month because for me it fits. That game is Star Wars Villainous. Now, for those of you who have been following the channel, you know that Villainous was a game that I did pretty early on, and I like that game, but for me, for my collection, I didn't want that in it. My friend has the one that was the starting game with its expansions for the obvious Disney options. And I considered to do the other side of it when they were kind of jumping into the Marvel and all that. And I was like, I could do that, but I've got Marvel related games and I got other games I'm more interested in getting from Marvel. But what I didn't have in my collection was Star Wars. I love Star Wars, but unfortunately, when it comes to using this theme, they tend to put it on top of games I'm not really interested in playing or buying. And so as a result, I don't have any in my collection. And I said, well, if I'm going to own Villainous, I'll get the Star Wars version. I like Villainous. I'd like to have it in my collection. I don't want to go all out and have to keep buying more and more. And I don't feel Star Wars is going to expand much. Like maybe they do an expansion one day, but to be honest, I don't know what they do it with. That being said, I'm a big fan of Villainous. Star Wars for me is a great Halloween theme. The reason being is one, it's one of the most worn costumes for the last, 4 or 5 decades for Halloween. Like somebody showing up as Darth Vader, Yoda, Chewbacca, being all these different iconic characters. It's always been one of the Halloween costumes. And the movies are, for the most part, darker. And this being based on the villains, I really feel that this box, the setting, everything, for me, it feels like something I can pull out in October. Now, the game of Villainous plays that you're all playing as the villains. And you play on, like I mentioned in Scythe when I brought it up, and like the last time I talked about Villainous, you have this setup where you have multiple locations to go to. And when you've played one, you can't repeat it. You have to now move off of it for your next turn before you can go back. And everybody has a different winning condition. Everybody's using these different types of cards to essentially attack with the good guys against their opponents. And you're just trying to build up your VP and win the game. It's not a difficult game to play. It's a lot of fun. And for me, this is a great game to go and sit down with a few people and get a good Halloween play of all these Darth Vader and Kylo Ren and just bringing out these great villains. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about our 7 categories and see where this falls for us. The art's pretty straightforward. You've got a box that sells it. It is dark. Vader's sitting there with his lightsaber. It feels like the scene right from Rogue One. Like he is top-notch level on this box. It really gets the idea of Star Wars and dark and scary all at once. And in the box, you're dealing with all of these cards, your little player mat areas. It's such a good theme sent in this art. Top-notch, thumbs up. The components are primarily you're working with cards and with cardboard again, but something they don't need to do in this game, and yet they do it, is everybody having that one character that represents who you are. So your Darth Vader helmet that moves on your board, your Kylo Ren helmet, your whoever it is that you're being, they have a piece that moves for them. And for me, that piece is such top quality and it's not needed. And I don't feel that I feel it does add something to the game. It's all of these pieces are really well done. Thumbs up. Surprisingly, the price isn't bad on this game. This goes for about $40. Sometimes you even can find it. Primarily, you get this game. I got mine through Target, and I think a lot of people get their Villainous games through Target. And they do sales all the time. You can get it for like $30. Like, it's not expensive. You're gonna be able to find this everywhere, online, Target, Barnes & Noble, regular board game stores, and you're not gonna have to pay a lot of money for it, and you get a lot of game in the box. Thumbs up. The difficulty is primarily up to, in my opinion, your experts, your experienced players. There's plenty of game here. There's a lot to think about. It's great. Your beginners and your kids, where it kicks in for me for them is, it's not that difficult as one character, but every character plays different. So the question is, hey, if you have a 10-year-old come in, maybe you teach them Kylo Ren, and you say, this is who you are. And that's who they stay as. And if they want to play as, say, General Grievous, it might start to get a little bit complicated, because now they're trying to be like, wait a minute, no, he does this, but Kylo did that, but Darth Vader did this, and that's where it starts to get complicated. So I feel the game is great because you can just say, I'm only ever going to play as the one character. And when they're a little bit older, or they're a more experienced gamer, maybe a couple years later, now they can try somebody out new, and the game gets it gets bumped up again, because they're like, wow, totally different now. But early on, that just may not be for them. Whereas for me, I'm going to try to play every time as a new character, because I can't wait to see this all-new system. So, big thumbs up on the difficulty. Well, when it comes to replayability, I think everybody can agree. This is a game that, whether you're playing 2 or 3 or 4, whatever you're playing at, it doesn't take too long. So you can play this a couple times in a row. Every time I've played Villainous, we've played 2 or 3 games in a row on the night. And it's a game that can be pulled out really any time. Well, I think Star Wars fits the October theme. I also think this is a game I can pull out any time of the year. You know, I think Star Wars when I'm around Christmas time. I think Star Wars when, you know, I'm in the summer. I think it can work anytime. So it's a thumbs up. Your keys to victory are simple and yet complex. It's the same situation that came with the difficulty. Every character is different, so their key is extremely specific. This is how you win. But depending on who you play as, you get a new key. And depending on who you're facing, you have to know how to stop their key. So there's a lot of them, but there's nothing that you're going to have to do that technically you have the option to do elsewise. You're not going to play as General Grievous and have multiple ways to win. It tells you what his winning condition is. So you just have to make sure that you're paying attention to your character and to your opponent's characters. It's a thumbs up. I really wish I could give this game unique. I mean, 4 or 5 years ago it was. But today, you have Star Wars Villainous. You have Marvel Villainous. You have Disney Villainous. All of those are just roughly the same game, but they all come with these expansions and characters, and they're all played different, and yet they're not different. They are the same game. It's the same mechanism. It's just plastered with a new theme, and each character is unique enough. It's not like I couldn't take characters from these different versions and face each other, because they're not plastered on Darth Vader is now Prince John. Like, they're not the same exact with a different face, but it's still the same concept. And so it does not feel like it's unique. If it was, I could own multiple. I only wanted one, so I picked Star Wars. And outside of this, you see, you know, at the time when I played it, that way that you played it felt very unique, but now I've seen that mechanism in Scythe, and that's allowed it to pull away a little bit more on its uniqueness. So I have to give it a thumbs down on unique. It's not unique enough. Overall, what do I think of this game? I enjoy the game. I do not love it. I think it's a game that if you have a chance, give it a try. But if you're not interested, I don't mind. And I don't think anybody's going to mind if you say, I don't want to try Villainous. Villainous, specifically Star Wars Villainous, it's a great game, but it's not a game that everybody loves. In fact, I would say that this is very down the middle. It's interesting because the non-gamers have kind of liked it at times, and the gamer group, a little bit of the group likes it as well. But then there's the other half of the group that's very, very defensive, and they're like, no, this isn't a game, this isn't part of it. This is one of those themed, not really a game games. It's a game, but I understand that it's not as strong of a game as some others, and that it definitely bumps up against that question mark at times of, is a real gamer have it in their collection? I think you can. I don't think this takes away from you being a gamer if you like it. At the same time, I don't think that you have to have it. So if you have a chance to play, try it out. If you see it at Target for 30 bucks, or even if it's a full price at 40, it's not that much money. Pick it up. But at the same time, if this just is one of those games that you're like, I never even want to try it, it just doesn't grab me, that's fine. I don't think that this is so good that you have to play, and I don't think that it's an embarrassment that you can't play. It just falls into that area of, if you're interested, try it, and if you're not, then don't. But that's just my opinion. It's up to you guys to make your decision if you want to try it, if it's something that grabs you, if it's something that's worth your time. Well, today has been day 110, and we've been talking about the game Star Wars Villainous, and you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding in an Amazon link in case you want to pick this game up for yourself. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.